and wore animal suits for clothing. And they came and healed her immediately. And I was shocked and astonished because I didn't think anyone could live that long without oxygen. But anyway, I'm going to definitely do a some kind of a drawing of that one. And Gary did a drawing of his too. But why don't we just finish Charles' dream and then Tim's dream, and then we'll go into Gary's. And let's see. How are you doing, Charles?
I've actually been kind of sick the past few days.
Kind of sick?
Yeah, it's my birthday today, though.
It's your birthday? Oh, my God.
Yep.
You and Young. And Young.
Yeah, is it Young's birthday, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. He would be 25 plus 100, so he'd be 146, I think. 146 years old. So, not quite 150 yet. He's actually 3 years older than my grandfather. My grandfather was born in 1878. So he was, all of my grandpas were way older than my parents, you know. So anyway, let's put Charles in here real quick and try to get through these because they're so good. Let me see if I can get this thing. Well, I really, Charles, I wanted to say that have been very impressed with your what you're doing. I know it's not easy, but it still is. You know, I mean, apparently you're being honored by your, you know, the people who are watching you work, and they're saying that you're doing a job that is exemplary. And I don't know the last time, I mean, when's the last time you got that kind of praise from anyone? Been a while,
I mean,
hasn't it?
People say I do a good job at stuff, but never been like given this opportunity, really.
Yeah, getting you.
I talked to my grandpa, and he was like, no, he was saying that he was in genuine disbelief and shock.
About what? Your grandpa's still alive?
Never really thought much of me.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. And you told him about it?
Strong. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. He's genuine disbelief and shock. Well, that's okay. Well, and it is so what I want to just say one thing about the dreams that I've discovered, and I don't know if you guys have this feeling, but when I was going over this dream this morning, I felt something inside. I don't know. Do you guys have that same feeling when you have a dream? It resonates, you know. And what Marion Woodman says, that it's because they come from the marrow of our bones and the flesh of our bodies, and that when we see them, just like music or a poem, she says every poem needs to make the body, you know, ring like a bell, or it's not a real poem, you know. And it's just that the body creates all of these things, and then the mind provides the meaning. And so it's just a magical process of linking our awareness with these images of the body, you know. And she said, she gives this wonderful example of how how poems resonate in the body. Hi, Tim. We'll go over Charles' dream, and then we'll go over your dream, and then we'll start on Gary's dream. You know, just since we've already started on you and Charles' dream, we'll get them finished. But I was just telling you what Marion Woodman says, why dreams come from our marrow of our bones, and they really come out of the body, you know, the wisdom of the body, and that poetry. By the way, she also said that the artist is always expressing feminine being, you know. And when we sell a painting, we have moved from the feminine realm into the masculine realm. You know, she says, whenever you want, she said she had some painters that it took them 2 to 3 years before they finally got to the point where they would even consider a transaction involving this work of the soul. But the one she mentioned that had this, you know, she says that when the Challenger explosion happened, and I think we could say the same thing about 9/11. She says, when it happened, everyone felt it in their body. I mean, there was just this feeling. You saw these people, these smiling people 70 seconds before getting onto the Challenger, and then suddenly it all goes up, you know. And she says, everyone felt that in our bodies because the bodies know they're mortal, and they experience the archetype of this of leaving the body. Okay, you know. But I mean, anyway, she was trying to compare that with the aspect of dreams, the aspect of poetry and art, and particularly music, you know, which anyway. So why don't we, I'll tell you more about this. I've been reading Marion Woodman lately, and she's very instructive on stuff like this. But anyway, well, why don't we finish Charles' dream? Do you want to read it again?
What dream it was.
I put it in the chat. Did I put it in the chat?
I don't think so.
Okay, just a second.
For the life of me, can't remember what dream.
Well, that's fine.
That is.
No problem. I'll tell you, both these dreams are really good. And wait till you hear Charles' dream. Oh my God. I mean, Gary's dream. It's amazing.
So Charles, is it true that this is your birthday?
Yeah.
Yes,
my birthday.
it is.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thanks.
It's Young's birthday too, Roy said. I didn't know that. So yeah. So
Wow.
you're 31, I believe, aren't you, Charles?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still on the right side of 30. So anyway. Well, why don't we read, go through your dream, and then we'll finish Tim's. Then we hopefully can get to Gary's dream. Gary did a wonderful painting of it too. And Gary's been due, you know. That's what Harry Carey used to say when somebody came up to bat and they hadn't got a hit in like 300 straight at bats. They were at their most dangerous. They're due. Okay, so Charles, you want to read the?
Yeah.
Read it there.
So it's at my aunt and uncle's house, and it was dark. My cousin and my uncle were there, and it started to hail extremely bad, but it seemed like it was hailing from the inside of the house, and all the glass was breaking from the hail. We became alarmed because there was a car in the dining room that was being destroyed by the hail, and my niece Kylie was taking a shower inside of a room inside the car. We had to try and get her out. She got out, but all the hail had removed her hair, and she was bald. At some point, she wants to know where her books are. And I tell her they're in the Atlantean Library, which is a small, secret underground library. It's dimly lit with mysterious books.
Okay, great. And I was telling him too, Tim, this morning, when I was going through a dream I had where my wife couldn't be helped by conventional health people, and I thought she was going to die, so I called somebody else. And they were people who lived in a garden with waterfalls and wore animal suits like stags and things. And they came in and healed her. But while I'm working on this dream, where do you feel the magic? I mean, I felt magic then. And I was just trying to find out, where is this magic coming from? And, you know, how is it affecting me? I mean, it's kind of a good thing to think about, you know, is how is it affecting us? If it does, I mean, it certainly does me. I always call it the blessed hour when I'm working on these, because they're the guide. This God has sent us the roadmap, and are we going to follow it or not? But anyway, so we're
So,
at
Charles,
yeah, go ahead.
can you just clarify what do you think of the Atlantean Library? What does that
Yeah,
signify?
go ahead. What do you think of the Atlantean Library, Charles? Well, Charles has had a relationship with Atlantis for quite some time, and he was very happy to see it come in his dreams. Can you describe the Atlantean Library, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, I was able to like see it, and there was like a stairway leading down, like a stone staircase with like torches, lighting everything, and um, yeah, it was just very dark and had all types of books and was lit by torches. It was really cool.
So are you referring to the underwater city?
Yeah, I sort of view like Atlantis as being more of like an archetype and not as literal, like that it basically stands for all of ancient civilization that contained that was highly sophisticated and contained high knowledge, but was lost to natural disaster. And yeah, sorry, I got booted out like a minute ago, so I might have missed something, but
Yeah, I often think of it as an Alexandrian library too. This
yeah.
lost treasure. And just a second here. I'm gonna tell the dog. Okay. All right. Now let's just go through it. First, we're at the house of the mother. Okay. We're at the house of the mother, and the mother realm, and it's dark. So it's not the father realm. That's very important. Now, the male relatives of the mother are there, and then it starts to hail extremely hard from inside the house. So not from the sky, but from inside the house. Now, any type of frozen water tends to represent frozen feelings, a feeling aspect that is just hard as ice. I mean, it's it has something to do with the feeling that that something has lost warmth. And what has warmth? Feeling, you know. And so when something becomes ice cold, it tends to mean relatedness and feeling function. So we're in a house whose feeling function has lost all warmth, and it also is a storm. So what does it mean when there is a storm occurring? In other words, it's a sort of this now. First of all, let's just say it's a storm outside and it's a hailstorm. It's just one of these strange events that we're a victim of, and usually represent. Now, in this case, it always represents a downpour of the unconscious. Like when Jung, after he shot Siegfried, suddenly it starts to downpour. And what he said that meant is that it washed away all traces of the act that happened before that. And so then when you came out, um, that whatever had happened before had been washed away, some sort of a catharsis, some type of a cathartic event that after the storm, things will be different than they were before the storm. But in this case, it's frozen feelings, and it's coming from inside the house. The place that we reside is reigning unrelatedness. Okay, there's just this aspect of being very remote from the feeling function. And yet it's in the house of the mothers, you know, that mother realms. Now, then the psyche, you know, and particularly in Charles' dreams, his you know, his psyche is represented by a car. Okay, now in the car, I mean, you know, he's had all these dreams where the motor's missing, the wheels are missing, it gets crushed by a rock that falls from above, you know, or is in threatened of being crushed by a rock and falls above. And they're in the the psyche, in his psyche, and he's not in it at the time, there is the anima figure there, and she is taking another shower inside. So there's two of these showers occurring, and yet this psyche this seems to be what the storm is attacking. Okay, this frozen feeling function seems to be attacking the anima in the psyche. And then when she comes out, she indeed has lost her femininity. Now, this is very similar to Molly coming out as had lost her femininity, and had actually become a man, you know. And then when Charles made the heroic act, her femininity seemed to come back. But in this case, the anima has lost all her hair. So she's lost all her individuality. She's lost all her uniqueness. She's just, is sort of a being. It is showing that the feeling functions very undifferentiated. At least she's a girl, but she's very young. She's 10, but she's still undifferentiated because all her hair was removed by the lack of feeling function in Charles' house, in Charles himself. And it seems to be related to his being still contained in the mother realm. Okay, not in his own house. This isn't his own house. This is the house of the mother, which so he's residing in the house of the mother, or is in the house of the mother, and there his feeling function is frozen, and it attacks his anima, and she becomes undifferentiated. Okay, that's part one. It's done. Okay. Now, from that, okay, now we have the undifferentiated anima, and she wants to know where her secret books are. You know, she's undifferentiated, but her secret wisdom exists somewhere. But where is it? It's missing. I need it now, especially when my hair's all missing. And so now, here's where Charles, again, is sort of a hero. He knows where her femininity is, okay? And her femininity is in the Atlantean Library, which is a small secret underground laboratory that is dimly lit with books that are very unfamiliar, with wisdom that is very unfamiliar to the ego. Okay, mysterious. Okay, now the Atlantean aspect, I think, has to do with the fact that it is very ancient. It is very related to the ancestral world. It is related to the unconscious because it's an underwater city. Remember, a lot of Charles' dreams lack earth. In this case, the city lacks earth too. You know, the city of wisdom lacks earth. It is literally under the water. And so this is a very particular library for Charles. And I think that's why, to some extent, he's so fascinated by Atlantis. You know, the dream ego lacks earth in its dreams. So why wouldn't it be fascinated by a city that also lacks earth? You know, there's some connection between the fact that we lack islands, we lack earth, and we're connected to this city under the water. And so the femininity of the anima that has to do with their missing hair is in the and also has to do with the frozen feelings, is in the bottom of the unconscious and has to be resurrected from there, you know. Now, this Marion Woodman, to one thing, I'm stealing a little bit of her stuff. She says whenever we descend or go up, she means that we've achieved another level of awareness. So when you go up, you've achieved a different level of awareness than you had here. And when you go down, you achieve a different level of awareness. So anyway, that's a start on the dream. What do you think, Roy?
Oh yeah, for me, it's just the sacred books. You know, they're preserved. The destroyers can't get it once it's in the second world, and Charles has access to it when he's ready to go study it, and so does Kyle, and that's the whole thing for me. You know, that's what's important for me.
What do you think about the hailstorm in the house?
Oh, hell broke loose. We know that. I mean, that's trivial.
Well, why would have all hell broke loose? Do you know? Could you have an idea?
Because of all the emotional upheaval, you know, Charles happened to make a decision and to do this job and stuff like that, and all the pressures on him. You know how you were when you were 31. I mean, you have a lot of hormones and things going through you. It's a very difficult thing.
It's painful.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I always have this wish to go back in time and live my life over again, because I think I have an orientation now, and then I did not have. Very disoriented. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. I think I like what was said so far. One of the things that strikes me is the car in the dining area. And
yes,
so
that's important.
yeah, and of course the dining area is kind of where we feed ourselves, where we gain knowledge, things for the soul. And yet here the thing of transport, the thing that can move us between the worlds, is being destroyed. And the anima loses her personality, the loss of the hair, and becomes frozen, and is barely conscious enough to say, to trigger the how do I return to the world?
How do I heal myself?
Yeah, to the world where I have life, which is the ocean, the Atlantean location. And so, it just shows kind of immense suffering.
And I will from now on call the dining room, in honor of Tim, the place of the forks. This is the place of the forks. This is the place where we assimilate unconscious contents. I mean, this is where we take them in and we embody them, make them part of our body. So assimilation. This is why it's so important. The Eucharist and the communion. It's why it's such a sacred ritual, is because it means you assimilate some mystery. Doesn't matter what the mystery is. Doesn't matter. But you assimilate it, you take it into the body, and now you have you've been totally changed. Now, this was an ancient thing that cavemen did. I mean, not cavemen, but ancient man did, as far as when they, now I don't like to mention these kind of things, but when a very brave enemy was killed, I mean, it was general practice to eat a little bit of their heart and a little bit of their brain And the reason you would do that is to assimilate their cunning and their courage. So now you possess their cunning and their courage because you've assimilated it in the room of the forks, you know. So this is something, you know, that's a little bit gruesome, but it the same principle. The mystery of my very brave, very able, very cunning enemy who has plagued me for years. I honor him and admire him, and I have been in awe of him. And such this was such a powerful enemy, I want to assimilate his power. What do you think, Tim?
Well, one thing that's really kind of haunting me is this idea of inside outness that happens 4 times in the dreams. So the hail is inside, the car is inside, Kylie is taking a shower in the car, which should be outside,
Mm-hmm.
and the shower should be inside. And then the library is underwater, and it should be in reverse. It should be in the air. And so I'm wondering that seems like a really clear metaphor that things are inside out. And it could be that that has something to do with the earthiness of the body, that Charles is spending so much time on these images and on the ideas and the masculine kind of cognitive part, that the body should be the center of focus, it seems like. And maybe that's the inside outness, but I don't know. There's different ways of looking at that. But I think it's a really stark symbol.
It's a very profound images. You know, as soon as Gary mentioned the dining room, you just realize that it's not by accident how that room was picked. And then Tim, you made a wonderful point. We have to assume that the Atlantean Library is under the ocean. It's in at the bottom of the sea. I mean, how else do you term an Atlantean library? An Atlantean library is at the bottom of the sea. Okay, so it's in the depths of the unconscious. And that is where the wisdom books, dimly lit, of the feminine live. Now, also the feminine was regressed, made a vast regression by the lack of our own relatedness and our own feeling function. The fact that our own relatedness and our own feeling function, the storm that Roy was talking about too. I think the storm is a symbol of what the lack of relatedness and feeling in us has done to our anima. It has made her hairless. It has taken away her beautiful locks. Now, you know that the beautiful hair of a woman is not just incidental. You know, there's something about it. You know, we're so-called naked ape, you know, but we have hair that grows out of our head. And we're one of the very, very few animals in all of nature, mammals, whose hair grows constantly. You know, almost all other animals, hair grows to a certain length, then it sheds and new hair comes in, you know. But for man or for humans, the hair on their head grows and grows and grows and never stops growing, you know. And the same thing with their, but it represents something, you know. I'm not sure. Now, Charles, can you just tell us where you are right now with this dream? What do you think?
I see the house as the witch's house, And
the devouring mother.
yeah, and because my aunt who lives there, I don't despise her or anything, but I don't care for her too much. She thinks the idea of me getting a Cabbage Patch Kid is laughable and made some sarcastic comment to me about getting it. And she just doesn't get it. She has not experienced anything outside the ego before, which, whatever, that's fine. But she's just one of those people that she just doesn't get it. And that's just how I view the house. It's the witch's house, and the hail is conjured up by the witch trying to destroy the princess. And me and the other masculine figures have to go and rescue her. And I feel like that's where, that's kind of like my positive anima figure is like Isis, is like a goddess of wisdom. Because really how I got into all, even Jungian stuff, whatever, how I started to look outside the realm of ego was by I guess sort of approaching things how I would if I was I tried to initiate myself into the ancient mysteries. That's what I did, and that's how I think the unconscious kind of began to I don't know, see me as someone who actually was starting to pay attention and notice, and that I was someone worthy of some type of love from the unconscious. And dang, I forgot exactly what I was going to say.
The true mother. I mean, it seems
yeah,
like your true mother. And I think that you hit on something. The reason there's frozen feeling in the house of the mother is because that's what you got from the mother. You got frozen feeling from the mother. So you never got the warmth of the mother that you should have had. You put a completely different twist on it for me. That this is the enchanted house of the witch. And it is the mother, the frozen feelings of the mother that has made our anima hairless, in our psyche. And we need the masculine, just like we rescued Molly, we are rescuing our anima. And when she is out of there, and at that point, we know that the cure for her is some wisdom from our true mother, who is the unconscious. So it is really a fairy tale. There is an aspect of it that's a fairy tale. Let's hear what everybody else does, what can add to it. What do you think, Roy?
The books are safe. That's all I got to say.
The books are safe in the depths, and this is what is going to rescue us from the witch's curse. What do you think, Gary?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the dream shows a great deal of suffering and a need to be able to, to unite with something with feelings. So I don't know, Charles, for a birthday present, you want an MP3 recording of what we used in the group last week.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing that one pretty regularly too. For me, it does a lot. But I think, you know, I think you need something, especially while, you know, you've got a job that's taking, you know, 60 plus hours a week of your time. I mean, that's like, you know, that's a very grueling pace, and you need something which is a, you know, very much a counterpoint to it, because, you know, I think this really shows, you know, the stress that it's creating, even though I think this is what was called for as far as really, you know, being in the world. At the same time, it's so different. It's so much the opposite of what you're used to that, you know, you need the refuge. And for me, the refuge has always been, you know, my practices.
And the refuge and the song, what is the Sangha and the Dharma, or I forget what it is. But I'm anxious to hear what you have to say, Tim. What do you think? I mean, you seem like you got something up your sleeve, but what do you think?
Well, I start to run out of ideas without more kind of associations from Charles' life. But I do think about the submarine dream, and you know, these themes are really similar, and I don't quite remember how that one unfolded. It seems like you're trying to get out of the submarine at the end, but it seems like these images are really close together, and it would be worth, I think, doing some kind of a ritual as a means of just communicating with the dreamer to say, okay, I got this much. Here's my response, and now I'm ready for the next iteration of the conversation.
Yeah, well, it is a very profound dream, and I do want to, Roy, next time let's kind of review your dream. But we're gonna, you know, we're gonna have our hands full today with these 3 dreams. But Charles, do you have any concluding thoughts about it?
Not really. I mean, I feel like I have to just get through these next 3 months, and like I'm kind of like stuck until I get back home and I can just, I don't know, hopefully start to remember my dreams again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just really, I'm just kind of totally off my game right now, just because I've had to switch my how I spend my energy, and just, I don't know, just everything's different right now.
Well, it's a little bit of a balance between the outer world and the inner world, and I think one thing, you know, Jung said that used to say that the when you're on the track to the goal, that is the goal. You know, I mean, there's an aspect, I think, here of this outer world orientation that you're having happen here that is incredibly important. And it came from the dreams. And I don't think you would be there without your dreams. And I think your dreams want you there. You know, I don't think your dreams want you to be isolated I think the dreams want you to be oriented in the outer world. I mean, they all seem to be saying that. So I think you are right where you need to be. Now, right now on the journey, it seems that like we're a little bit lost, but this is the goal, I think, is to get us in the outer world. And not only get us in the outer world, but we're achieving things in the outer world too, you know, and they want us to come back next time. And I mean, this is, and you've established a baseline for your compensation, which is going to allow us to, you know, possibly support a family a little bit, you know, we're getting close anyway, you know, but I do think that the dreams got you there in the first place, and you are where you should be right now. You know, I mean, that's just my opinion, but I can't imagine you being there without the without your dreams. I think your dreams pushed you there in a way that that you may not have happened without the dreams. So I mean, right now, I think it seems boring and purposeless and aimless, but I don't think it is. I think you're getting you are gaining a lot of strength that you never had displayed before. You know? So anyway, that's my opinion. But anybody else have any more comments, and then we'll get on to Tim's stream. I mean, yeah, we're just not trying to rush through this, but we've got a lot of really good material here, you know. So let's go with Tim's stream, and Charles, we'll come back to your dream too. So let me see if I can. I didn't get it all in there on the first try. Let me see here. Okay. I think let me see where I ended. All right. Then I find a spot behind Tara. Yeah, okay. Let's see. All right. Okay, so I just got to do this last sentence. Okay, this is a very mysterious dream too. All of these are mysterious, but this one, coming after the series of dreams we've had so far, is very important. You want to read it again,
Sure.
Tim?
I'm at some sort of convention in a huge facility consisting of a string of hangar-sized rooms. I'm going through trying to get to the end room for the filming of a short skit. I finally get there, but there's been a change, so I need to make my way back 3 or 4 rooms to number 106, where the filming will take place on the hour. There are other pieces, so ours is not the only one, but I still want to be on time. Hurrying along, I get to the last threshold and leap, flying about 3/4 of the way across the room. As I land, I wonder if this is abnormal because nobody seems to notice. Finally, I reach an auditorium-like room where the action is, and I see my father some distance away toward the front. He's the one I'm going to do the skit with, I now recognize. So I make my way back toward where he is, and I notice I have these thick, soaked mittens that I want to get dry. But all the surfaces are already covered with wet clothing being laid out. So I pass Garrett and I give him a nudge, even though I don't look at him. Then I find a spot to put the mittens right behind Tara. So I reach behind her, put the mittens out to dry, and as my hands come back, I tickle her as I move on toward my dad.
Okay. And just a couple questions. One is, are you the filmmaker? Are you the one that's going to use the camera?
I don't think so.
Okay, you're just going to be in a film.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, and then the everything's full of wet clothing, right? I mean, there's all wet clothing. Was it raining or something? Or?
I don't have any memory of that. It's just everybody's soaked for some reason.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's that's very important. It comes at the end, but it's very important. So anyway, we're at this mass gathering place. It's with hangar-sized rooms, just monumental. It's a monumental place. Now, the dream ego is there to participate in something like that. You've had several instances where you're going to be in a ritual play, you know, some type of a ritual drama. You're going to participate in a ritual drama. Every dream is participating in a ritual drama, really, but you're going to participate in a ritual drama inside of a ritual drama, you know, and you have to walk through many, many rooms. But when you finally get to where you should be, the venue has changed. And you need to retrace your steps either 3 or 4 rooms. So 3 or 4. So 3 is a masculine, 4 is a feminine. You're not sure which, but that the 3 and the 4, 3 would be back 3, back 4, you know. So you're retracing your steps too. So you went too far, either 3 or 4 rooms, and now you have to go back. There's something about that. It's not there accidentally. Now, there's a lot of ritual dramas going on there, but you want to be there on time. You were very anxious that you do not miss this event. So you finally reach the room that you were supposed to go. And was that the auditorium? See, there are other.
Was that the what?
Well, what's this? Hurrying along, I get to the last threshold. The last threshold, and we leap. And so at the last threshold, the auditorium. Okay, finally you reach the auditorium. Yeah, that isn't right here. The threshold is not the auditorium.
No, I think that's room number 3, and the auditorium is number 4.
Okay, so it is back 4 rooms. So in the third room, this is the masculine room. In the ultimate masculine number, the last one, we don't have any gravity because we're free of the mother or the feminine or something, and so we're now don't need the stand. We've lost gravity. We're lighter than air. We can fly through the air, you know. So this is the room of transcendence. You know, I mean, there's this aspect of the puer. You know, he flies like Peter Pan. You know, I mean, he doesn't need Earth because he's in the realm of transcendence. You know, so in that third room before the auditorium, we are lighter than air, and we've lost our gravity. We're not as close to the Earth as we would be in the other rooms. So we're less substantial there. So we're more airy. And we wonder if it's abnormal, but no one seems to think there's anything unusual. Now, the auditorium, the fourth room, seems to be the inner sanctum, the auditorium. You know, what does that mean, auditorium? You know, it is the place where things are heard. Is that what it means? I mean, does anybody know the etymology?
Yeah,
Auditorium. It has something to do with the ear, I think. It's the place where people go to hear either something. I don't know. I don't know what it means. I didn't have time to look it up. I just was thinking. Now, when we get there, we notice that the Father is there. Okay. Now, the Father could be either the subjective Father or the objective Father, but because we don't really interact with them, I don't think it's and he doesn't really. Does he acknowledge our presence?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's going to be more of that we are going to participate in a ritual drama with the Father realm, something to do with the Father realm, you know, and we are going, so it is really going to be some type of sacred ritual that's going to be recorded. I mean, some kind of a script has been written that needs the presence of the Father. Okay. Now, maybe he's not being the Father there in the dream. Maybe he's playing any role in the dream, but at least he's our Father. You know, we don't really know what the script is of the play, but our Father is going to be playing someone in the ritual. So in that case, It's pretty surprising. Weren't you surprised? Were you surprised by that? Or you said you weren't necessarily. He's in your dreams quite a bit. But
Right.
it surprised me that,
Yeah.
that my,
I wake up and I think, well, why wasn't that surprising?
yeah. Well, I mean that your fellow actor in the dream is not just anybody. It's your father. Was your father an actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an actor. Okay. So he is associated with acting. Okay. So that's important to know. Okay. So now as we approach, we notice that our hands have mittens on them. Are you wearing the mittens?
I don't think so. I think I'm just carrying them.
You're just carrying the mittens. But it's kind of funny, the mittens are just soaking wet. Now we need to put the mittens down and get them dry, but everywhere we go, other people have had similar problems and there's wet clothing everywhere. So all of these persona have to do with our hands, you know, the persona of our hands. Now, what do you use your hands for? You know, you use your hands to paint, you know, so these instruments of your craft have their own persona, but it's soaking with the unconscious, you know, or something. And also the fact that they're mittens is sort of you know, our fingers are not there anymore. We just got like a thumb and a upper palm, you know, but they're very soaked with the unconscious. We can't find a place to put them. Oh, we do find a place to put them. Tara. Now tell us about Tara.
This is my niece. She's just 17. Really, really intelligent and beautiful, and very much an independent person. She's an only child. Her father just died 7 months ago. This is my sister's child, and my sister and I are really close. And Tara has been, you know, my best friend since she was born, really. So, we have this great close relationship.
Yeah, this vibrant, growing, feminine aspect that's incredibly talented and incredibly capable, you know, yet it's growing, you know, and it's just absolutely it's like a show horse or something, you know. It's just so it's just an amazing specimen of the feminine gender. And not only that, but it's very clever, very smart, very everything. And yet, you know, is the growing thing. It's kind of the like our daughter. You know, it's sort of our surrogate daughter or something. So our surrogate daughter would be the anima the youthful anima in us. You know, you've got the maiden, the mother, the virgin, and the crone. You know, so she's probably, you know, she just represents this very youthful aspect of the feminine, which is there anything more magical in the world than the youthful feminine? It's just this beautiful thing, you know. And the thing is because they are truly magical. They cast spells, they charm things, whether they want to or not, you know. And so we know that we can dry this soaked persona of the hands. I think it has something to do with our creative principle. That thing that covers our creative principle, you know, is unusable because it's all squishy and soft. You know, it's not, and it makes our hands less pliable. I don't know exactly what mittens mean. We'll have to keep talking about it. But we put them, how do we dry them? There's a spot behind the feminine. So we have to, but the only way we can put it behind her what would you reach behind her while you're standing in front of her, right? So in other words, you walk towards her, your hands go on either side of her, and then you put it behind her. And then as you come back, you give her a sign of affection or something like that. Since she's your daughter, it would be different than if she was, someone you were unrelated with. You know, if you were, that was what I was thinking. Was if you were unrelated with it. The woman's body is slightly taboo, and it's more than slightly, but and one of the reasons it's so taboo is because it's magical. You don't touch, it's sacred, and you don't touch it unless you're invited to, But that's different here if it's your surrogate daughter. You tickle her. Okay, and then, let's see, that point, you move towards your father. Now, I would say the other thing too is room 106, which is the auditorium, right?
It must be, yeah.
It's a 7, and it's the room of the 7 is the number of wholeness. I mean, in the fact that it represents up, down, the 4 directions, and the heart. So it represents
Add up to
7.
16, which is 4
What?
quaternities.
Pardon me?
It could also add up to 16, which is 4 quaternities.
Yeah, or 4 quaternities, or 1 is the pleroma, and then the 4 and a 2. Yeah, 16 would be 4 quaternities too. So anyway, it's an important symbolic number, and it's not by accident. Well, anyway, this one is it is an anima dream. It's a father dream. It is a dream of ritual drama, and it is a dream of adventure. There's an aspect of we're going to do something surprising that we're not sure of. What do you think, Roy?
Okay, for me, I like the part about when he's flying, and then maybe his ego gets in the dream a little bit because he was looking to see if anybody saw him, and just kind of like the lawyer that saw him when he was going up the ladder, So he's sort of aware of that sort of thing, and the mittens for me, which is another important part, is that I wear gloves a lot, and I'm out working, and they get soaked, and they're sort of unpleasant, and they don't work as tools very good anymore. And I'm happy to get them off. And then he's making physical contact. He nudged Garrett. He tickled Tara, which he's going to get his tools back and stuff, and they'll be dry. But he was experiencing another way of expressing himself, and the flying. Those are the high points of the dream for me. I like those points. I'm just sort of picking those out, cherry picking those.
Yeah, it's very interesting too. Nudges Garrett, tickles Tara, and doesn't make eye contact with Garrett, and really his only communication with Tara is to tickle her. So that's pretty interesting. They're not really. I don't know if any words are spoken in this.
I don't think so.
Yeah. What do you think, Gary?
So when you touch Tara, you're touching her with the mittens?
No.
You've taken the mittens off at that point. And what about when you nudge Garrett? Are the mittens off then as well?
Yeah, I think that's with an elbow or something. It's more like a body nudge.
Yeah, this is just an outright guess, but okay, to me, this feels like a kind of a disconnection from the earth. I mean, like these vast spaces and the flying. And then, when you're wearing mittens, you lose that sense of touch. You lose that sense of closeness. And it's kind of unpleasant even when you do touch, because it's altered. And everything is wet, which also has the same effect. It kind of pulls us apart. It doesn't allow us to connect in the same way. Now, the good part about it is that, when you do come across the feminine, the gloves come off so that there can be, some real connection. And then the part with the father, the fact that, so you see him some distance away and you realize that he's the one that you're now doing the skit with. But, this is during this time you have on these thick soaked mittens. So again, there's kind of a disconnect from, this familial element. And then, and that part's a little bit confused, because although the skit is to be with the father, who do you come across but the niece? And so I'm a little confused there. But the flying, the need to traverse quickly, it's like, there feels like there's kind of a disconnect between, the earth-like elements. And so it feels like the feminine is really lacking. The only place you get the feminine is, from your niece. So that's what I'm kind of getting.
Well, the mittens are very important in this respect. They have something to do with the hands, which are the tools of the artist or anyone. It's our tools, the tool of tools. And yet in this case, they're not gloves. They're undifferentiated mittens. Why do people wear mittens, really? I mean, they provide more warmth or something, I don't really know what the purpose of mittens are, other than they're easier to knit. Does anyone prefer mittens over gloves?
Well, when it gets really cold, you want to have your fingers
Yes,
together.
then you can, a mitten, like down in South Pole, they would wear mittens, but
these were so thick, each one was maybe a couple inches thick.
do you know if they were made of yarn or what are they made out of?
Some kind of fabric, something like that. They weren't leather, but I'm thinking about what Roy said about, working all the time with gloves. Well, oftentimes if I'm doing some kind of heavy work, I'll have gloves, but almost always I need the dexterity of my fingers. Mm-hmm. And it occurs to me that putting away the mittens, all of a sudden I have the dexterity to be able to touch the feminine.
Exactly. Then you can tickle her. In if it wasn't really cold out, usually you would wear oven mitts. You would wear some kind of mitts to pick up very hot things, to protect your hands against picking up. That's why I would have mittens. But again, the fact that they're also soaking wet, how did that happen? How did they get soaking wet? Why did we bring them with us to go to have an acting play? Remember when we went to get the props at the Tyler Hall? But why would we bring soaking wet men. And by the way, why is there soaking wet clothing all over the place? Don't you think that's important? That everywhere you go, the persona is drying out because it's soaked with the unconscious. It's just dripping with the unconscious, the persona aspect, which is normally pretty far away from the unconscious. In this case, is not usable right now because it's too close to the unconscious. It really doesn't provide us a way of being in the outer world because it's too soaking wet with the unconscious. You know, until it dries out, it's not going to be able to be used for its purpose in the outer world, which is a bridge to the outer world. Clothes are a bridge to the outer world. You know, they tell people who we are. They protect our nakedness so that we can participate in the outer world. And you know, the idea of the one of the ideas, other than just protecting each other from protecting us from cold because we don't have any air and we live in cold climates, is just to hide the instinctive, you know, that aspect of us. It's inappropriate in the world of society. We don't want to be too instinctive in the outer world. We want to have a decorum that's not totally distinctive. That shows that we're civilized and cultured. You know, if we're to go in there naked, we are going in there with just the totally instinctive, uncultured aspect. But the fact that all of these clothes, there's clothes everywhere that are wet, but we just happen to have mittens that are soaking wet, which is very mysterious. I mean, I really am not getting the vibe on that. What do you think, Charles?
I think Gary's on the right track with a lot of things. And same with Tim. Yeah, one of the things the mittens ideas it was giving to me was like when you have the mittens on, yeah, you have like a lack of articulation. And when you try to like interact with someone with wet mittens on, like, you know, it's like, you know, you can't feel them. So there's insulation. And so, and then it's wet. So I don't know if it means it's like overly saturated with emotion or feeling, or like that it's kind of like, I don't know, or with the unconscious, and that the ego is not as present, but just the fact that, you know, he takes off his mittens before he interacts with a couple people, and just trying to think of what it's like when you're trying to, and both of them were physical interactions. So, oh, wet mittens, that's, you know, not pleasant to have someone try to tickle you with wet mittens on. And when he like leaped, it made me think that he was like just kind of like skipping past people and not taking the time to just, I don't know, just walk by the people and see every face that he passed, and maybe maybe he would run into someone he knows or meet someone new, but instead chose to leap past and skip past a bunch of I don't know, people. I assume he jumped over a bunch of people, but yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty odd, cryptic dream to me. I can't really think of what the idea of the play would mean. I don't know what Tim's associations are. I mean, I know he's done a lot of like acting and theater and stuff, but like it's being a play with your dad. That I don't know. I don't know what his personal associations are with that, but been mainly focused on the mittens.
I think it's a participation in the impersonal realm. You know, we step out of the personal realm and we are participating in the impersonal objective realm somewhat when we're in the play. And I think you just nailed it, Charles. The mittens are a symbol of an inability to relate on the feeling function on an intimate basis. See, the fact that we're burdened with mittens when we're trying to relate to on an intimate basis, it's a impediment to relatedness. You know, so now, especially when they're soaking wet, because nobody wants to be touched with mittens anyway. They don't want to be touched with soaking wet mittens. You know, but going there, and it's funny that everybody's drying their clothes there, so there's an aspect there too of this is a place of curing. I don't know, it's a place of of healing the relatedness function. Now we go in, it's monumental, and everywhere we go, it's like we have went to the place of transitions. You know, it seems to me that this is a place of transitions. It's a monumental place. And everyone there is seeking the same thing. That they are seeking some type of a transformation. And it's not clear what's going to happen. But in the case of the of participating in the ritual play, what we are going to do, at least for a short period, is leave the personal realm for the more impersonal realm. And hopefully we will learn something there. And there's going to be an aspect of transformation there. This case seems very promising because the Father is going to be in it with us. So there is an aspect of, if there is a transformational thing there, there's going to be many of these. And ours is in room either 16 or 7, you know, and so it's this room of a very important quality, either the one of completeness. 7 really doesn't mean wholeness, it means completeness. It means, you know, up, down, 4 directions, and the center, you know. Or if it's 16, it's 4 quaternities, and it is an auditorium. So it's a place, I'm going to look that up while we're talking. It's a place of, it's a special name. That has to be a particular name. And then there we find, and let's say we're not really didn't find Terra, we found what Terra represents, which is the vibrant, very strong aspect of the independent, youthful feminine, you know, and she is there. And if we take these impediments to relatedness and we have her, she can, behind her, we have now seemingly we don't need those, or we put them there behind her. There's some aspect of that she is a cure for impediment to relatedness, you know. But it is a dream, don't you think, Tim? Maybe you could tell it, but it seems to be a dream of threshold crossings, you know, ones of that we are crossing thresholds everywhere, you know, and something is happening. It's unclear what, but there is definitely something in flux or changing, you know, and we need to be there. We need to be on time. And we go all the way to the end, and then we come back 4. All the way to the end, come back 4. Go to the room of completeness of 4 quaternities, and there's going to be a transition, transformation there, in which the father complex is included. You know, so this is a dream of movement, at least. What do you think, Tim?
Well, just listening to what you just said about the feminine makes me suddenly concentrate on this idea that the ego reaches behind the feminine to get rid of this impediment, and all of a sudden is kind of restored to dexterity. I think there's something in that.
She's rescued us to some extent. This youthful, strong, independent, capable feminine is, if we will put our impediments behind her, we will increase our ability to be a related being.
Yeah, that sounds really right to me.
Yeah, that's, and then at that point, now we can move towards the Father. Once we have made a peace with the feminine, in other words, we have made some ritual of putting the clumsy mittens of our relatedness behind her, and then leaving them there. And then we bring our hands back out. We acknowledge her presence. At that point, now we can move to the Father, to the ritual of transition with the Father in the auditorium. And I just looked up auditorium. It means a place for hearing, you know, a place for hearing. And let's just see if it has anything else here about it. You know, when you say the Spiritus Rector and things like that, that is we shouldn't just jump over that. It's a part of a public building where people gather to hear speeches. It's literally the place where something is heard. And, you know, it's a place that usually has very good acoustics too, you know. So an auditorium is a place where the ritual aspect is it attains gravity in the fact that the acoustics in this room is going to make it sound beautiful, or you know, it's going to give it an extra amount of resonance, you know. But Tim, this is now we also have to put this in context with all the other dreams. The Tyler Hall dream, where you know it really meant that that was such a mysterious dream. You know, we go there with the feminine. They're having some aspect of plays again, or something. You need to go get props, but all you find are the instruments of assimilation. You don't need props for the ego. You need to assimilate the wisdom of Rocky Mountain or the college or the place of learning. Don't use it as props for ego. Then we move to this next dream where you know, it's this wonderful journey of dropping the aspects of the impediments to relatedness, you know. And once we've done that, we are now going to move. Remember, we assimilated something in the place of learning. Now this is going to be a place where we're not going to prop up ego. You know, we become more genuine and sincere beings, living beings, when we leave these clumsy aspects of our relatedness behind the feminine, and now we've become more dexterous in our relatedness, and now we are worthy of going to participate in this drama with the Father in the room of completeness or the room of 4 quaternities, you know. So anyway, this is another dream. I think it is a stone in the wall, and it is a stone in the wall, just like I think the dream of the white racist people was a stone in the wall. I mean, it's a transition dream to the next one. But I think all of these dreams, if you put them in, you had a sacred circle of say 20 people, and each person in the circle told each one of those dreams until you got around to the 20th person, it would all fit together. At that point, the mystery of the 20 dream series would suddenly illuminate us. Well, why don't we we do need to go get Gary's dream, because Gary's got the dream of dreams here. I don't think we're not even gonna get close to finishing it today, but let's get started on it. But let's read the dream and look at the painting first, so at least we get that done. I'm gonna get the I'm sorry, Roy, I mean Gary, I went on and on. Let me see if I can.
Oh, not at all. I mean, these other dreams are just fascinating.
Well, they are. I mean, Tim's dream is, they've got power in them. I don't know what it is, but it's just certainly has power in it. Okay, let me see if I can get this in. It's sort of broken up, but let me see how much I can get in here. But you're gonna it's a treat. Let me just put it that way. This is a real treat. Okay. Let's see. All right. So I decide to stay in the room. Okay, there you go. I decide to stay in the room. There we go. Come on, Craigie. This is the images in this are so, I can't wait to hear what Gary has to say about some of these, because they are pretty everybody's getting Asian on us around here. Yeah. Okay. All right, do you want to read it, Gary?
Yeah, so I called this one The Arrangement. And in this dream, I'm a young teenage girl. I'm being taken on a tour of a large corporation, but I have duplicitous motives. The building I am in holds a safe with many protection mechanisms. I am to either steal a bond or a deed that is in the safe. We go to the room with the safe, and I'm shown the inner workings, which are quite impressive. During part of the tour, I meet a high-up Japanese woman that I feel we either know each other or she knows about me. She feels dangerous to me, and I'm somewhat afraid of her. Later, I went back to the room with the safe with the man. There is a black man in the room, but he leaves as soon as we come in. An emergency occurs, and the man I was with is called away. I realize that this is my chance, and I go to work with the training I've received. I begin inspecting the mechanisms of the safe. Unfortunately, the entire container, which holds the deeds and bonds, has been taken. I stop, as my goal is no longer possible. I decide to stay in the room so that when the theft is discovered, I will not be suspected. I take a large sheet of beautiful red handmade paper that is somewhat translucent. Later, I fold this into an origami rose. The next day in the evening, I meet with the same high-up Japanese woman I was afraid of at a very high-end restaurant. It seems we are very close, and I wonder at my previous unconsciousness where I didn't recognize her. She is very happy and glad to see me. We sit cross-legged at a low table. To the origami rose I made, I have added clusters of small white roses to form a large and airy arrangement. I have this brought to the table. She is impressed with the simple beauty that is so Japanese, where I am not. Oh, and another thing, she recognizes the paper that came from the room that was folded into the, the origami rose, and I can see it pleases her that that's there. I'm confused that I did not expect her to be happy. I thought that the black man had taken the bond before I got there. Now I wonder if she has it, and I was just a small part of her plan, a misdirection at best, a pawn. And that was the end of a dream.
Yeah, well, that is an amazing dream. When did you have this dream?
Oh, Sunday night, just
Okay.
in time for the dream group.
I know. Well, let's look at the painting you did. Okay, now who is on the left and who is on the
On
right?
on the left, that's me as a woman, and then I couldn't get the white to show up, so I painted it yellow. The flowers
Yes, you
aren't quite
can.
right, but you can see the origami rose. And then, she's taller than I am, and she has kind of this red hair, very elegant. So she sits on the right. And then, you see the windows in the background that overlooks the sea with with the blue sky. And
So it's on the
yeah.
coast. Where is it?
On-
Where do you think it is?
It's in Japan.
In Japan.
it's
So
like,
you're in
yeah.
Japan too. Okay. All right. Well, this is absolutely beautiful dream, and it's amazing that it is such a wonderful narrative. It is just this wonderful narrative. Okay, let's start with it here. Okay, so I'm going to try to go. Well, we don't have much time. Let me go through it as quick as I can. Well, let's just go. Let me just go as quick as I can. I got some notes, but it's, we are in. We have assumed the eyes and the viewpoint of the feminine. We've assumed the eyes and the viewpoint of feeling, relatedness, immanence, and receptiveness, being and not doing. And yet we seemingly are going to be we're going to try to acquire some type of ownership, proof of ownership of some valuable thing. And it's in this corporation, and a corporation, is something that just means combined in one body. And we go there to get this very treasured thing. We have a secret purpose, and it's in a very differentiated place. And just by happenstance, we're left alone in that room. But when we go to look, it's missing. And at that point, we realize later that perhaps the black man took it before he left, and had already left with it. But anyway, who wanted you to get this bond? Do you have any idea?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I actually don't know.
Okay, well, there's this wonderful comment at the end of, I wonder what happened to my consciousness. There's a gap missing in my memory, because now this Japanese woman is somewhat of a geisha, isn't she? She
It almost seems
represents
that way. She,
elegant Japanese woman. So she just represents this geisha aspect, which would
But she also feels very much in control at all times. You know, even in
Yes.
a corporation, it's like, you know, she's like only one or two people below the top.
So it's pretty close to a goddess.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't really seem, she seems like if she's an anima, she's very unusual anima. But there's a clue at the end that is just beautiful, you know. Well, anyway, we find out later, and what we found out was that was the delicious part. Now I'll just shut up. Is that I meet with this sort of geisha woman, and it seems we were very close, much closer than I thought, much more intimate than I could ever imagine. So we share, we share a secret bond that we're unaware of. The dream ego is not aware of it, but it finds out that it shares this secret bond, and we wonder at our previous unconsciousness. And then we have the fabulous image of us making out of handmade paper, special magical paper. We make symbols of wholeness. The red rose is the symbol of wholeness. So is the white rose, but one represents the feeling function. The other represents the transcendent function. So we're showing the imminent rose. It's of the earth, the red one, and the white rose, which is the transcendent one of heaven. Anyway, Roy, I didn't leave much time. Roy, do you have any comments on it?
We can't do much with this tonight, but I don't know. Gary's had the anima take up with his shadow, and I think that's why he's a little suspect of both of them. But it looks like he's changing the situation. You know, something else is developing here, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, with the roses, he's doing something. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, and this is really a beautiful arrangement. I'm trying to. This is going to be really fun to work on. I'm trying to look at it with really squinty eyes. It seems to me that this is the feminine aspect, the related aspect, which is doing some kind of secret machinations in the mechanism of the corporate world. One question I had was about the safe. Inspecting the mechanisms, that's the safe lock. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, this was not a normal safe. I mean, even after you got it open, there were, you know, additional things in there which would prevent you from, you know, being able to, like, you know, get to what I wanted.
Fabulous Swiss watch. Almost.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was just extremely intricate.
Well, man, there's a lot of very developed opposites coming in together. So you've got all of these beautiful images of the feminine and the translucent paper and the origami and all these really artistic, beautiful feminine issues. And then you've got the hard, sort of nasty world of the corporate structure and the safe, which is the Fort Knox of a corporation, and you're inside the safe with all the mechanisms, and it's like this is a Mission Impossible contrast between the feminine and the masculine in the world.
Yeah, the hardest part of the hard world is the safe. Charles, do you have any final words? And then we'll go at this 90 miles an hour on Wednesday. If you're here, Gary. Otherwise, we can do it next month.
Oh, no, I'll be here Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Charles.
No, I don't really have anything to add. I would like to just take a look at it again on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it Wednesday. But anyway, these dreams are very profound. And again, you can feel they're important. The fact that we don't necessarily comprehend them completely does not detract from the fact that we feel how profound they are. So we got to keep that in mind. Well, we'll take it up again on Wednesday, and we'll kind of say a few more words about Roy and Tim and Charles' dreams too, and then hopefully somebody's got a new one. We'll finish Gary's. Well, thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
Okay, bye, guys.
See you guys.
Bye, Roy, Tim, Charles, Gary.